The rescheduled examination follows an emotional admission from JAMB Registrar, Professor Rescheduled Ali, who on Wednesday acknowledged widespread technical issues. Over 200 candidates were affected across 65 centers in Lagos alone, while an additional 173,000 in the southeast, particularly the Owerri zone, also faced disruptions.
Were it not for the carelessness, negligence, and lack of concern exhibited by the agent entrusted with this crucial yet straightforward function. Immediately we realized this, we summoned the chief external examiners of Lagos, Imo, Anambra, Oyo, Abia, and Ebonyi, the 6 states affected. I'm happy they are with us. Fortunately, they all swiftly responded to join the group. We also invited Professor Bashir Galadanshi, a leading expert in computer science, to join the already people who are there, the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, because many of the people schools complaining seriously are schools from private school, and we didn't want to do anything that somebody will say, oh, they do something, we open our door widely. Despite being able to identify the source of the problem and the affected centers, we are conscious of the painful damage it has inflicted on the reputation of JAMB. As registrar of JAMB, I hold myself personally responsible including for the negligence of the service provider and I unreservedly apologize for it. The only consolation we have in this case, it is that it is just one of our 2 service providers that did not do well by uploading improperly. But it was not a case of glitches nor sabotage. There were technical errors. We discovered, we created what the patch, but one of our 2 service providers did not do well.
All right, by Thursday morning, the rescheduled examinations officially kicked off, with affected candidates receiving new slips and center details. JAMB says it remains committed to fairness and transparency, promising a smooth retake process for all impacted students. Official data shows that 78.5% of the 1.95 million candidates scored below 200, with less than 1% scoring above 300. Now, JAMB says it is investigating 97 confirmed malpractice cases and over 2,000 suspected ones. A special counseling support center has also been launched for affected candidates. Despite mounting pressure and threats of legal action, many have praised Professor Oloyede for owning up and offering empathy, a rarity in Nigeria's public service. Well, let's just analyze all of this and look at the implication. Educationist Taiwo Ali joins me for more on this. He joins me virtually. Good to have you join us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to first, before we even get to the rescheduled exams, I just want to get to your thought first on all of this controversy that we've seen concerning this particular JAMB this year, a UTME examination this year, and what you make, of it.
Okay. This year, I would like to say I'm not impressed with the performance at all, and a lot of things actually went wrong. Many systems were not functioning. Many children were almost stranded. There were, you can imagine someone living in Ibadan and scheduled for for the exam by 6:30 in another state, Ikire, in Osun State. There were a lot of irregularities, a lot of things that could have contributed to low performance by the students, by the candidates. And this actually showed in the results that we got at the end of the day. And a lot of them also got underaged results. There were no results for them. All they had was underaged. Instead of them having the results, was underaged. And I learned many of them paid extra to write as underage candidates. And I also learned JAMB told them only candidates that scored their age that scored 320 and above, we have their results, which I don't think it's so fair. And many of them will score 320. That's unrealistic. So a lot of things happened this year, a lot of irregularities. So I will say the JAMB registrar has done well, and the board itself has done well by rescheduling the examinations.
We'll again get to that rescheduled examination, because we also heard from students yesterday who still had a bit of complaints. But I just wanted to ask you, when you look at this year and previous years, is this an exacerbation of issues that have been there, or this particular year was different? And what are, if it was different, what are the differences that you noticed?
Okay. This year we had a lot of complaints about distances. People that had to travel to go for a 6:30 a.m. exam this year. It's a lot of candidates were affected, and a lot of them couldn't sleep a night the day before. They had to travel very early in the morning, and this could cause some anxiety for the candidates. And also, I think a lot of issues happened with the network of different examination centers. So this actually caused the decline in the success or in the performance of the candidates this year, of the general performance this year.
Is this the first time that JAMB will be writing an exam at 6:30 a.m.? Because I can't imagine if you're going to write an exam at 6:30 a.m., even if it's within your locality, you still have to wake up as early as 5, which means that you get little or no sleep, let alone if you have to travel. That means that you have to at least be up by as early as 3, 4 a.m. To get a bus, of an hour. That's a lot. Is this the first time that JAMB will be writing that exam, scheduling an exam for 6:30 a.m.?
This is not the first time. This is not the first time. But I think we had a lot of them traveling this year, more than the previous years. Because I see a lot of parents complaining this year. It wasn't as bad as this last year. It wasn't as bad as this 2 years ago. So a lot of them traveled this year, and considering the insecurities in the nation, it's not even advisable for children of that age to travel as early as 5 a.m. We don't have that luxury of safety and security any longer. So that's my take for this year. It's really went bad. It went bad.
And again to rescheduled exams for, I think some were written yesterday, and I listened to, we had our reporters in these affected communities and areas, and I listened to some of the students still saying that some of them did not get the text messages. Some of them said they arrived as early as 6, and they've not even started to write the exam. So again, like you mentioned, the anxiety that would cause. When you look at the time where, in between the duration of time where JAMB and Professor Ishak Oloyede apologized, and then the rescheduling of the exam, some people have said it was too fast. What do you also make of it?
That's my take exactly. was too far. I didn't even expect them to start so early. I was expecting next week. Maybe they should give them a week to prepare or something. But calling them immediately to start writing again is not so fair to the candidates. It's not fair. They should have given them enough time to prepare. Maybe a week would have done a lot of good in the preparation.
And some of them who, especially those in the East who had to travel to the main town, also said that they couldn't write the exam and they've been asked to come back. I think it's today. Is there a challenge, especially with the CBT test? Because, initially it used to be, I think it's the APT where you just use your pencil, a particular kind of pencil that is recommended, to shade the answers. But now you have to do is a computer-based test. Is there also a challenge with that kind of system? Because when you also look at the internet penetration, in the country.
Okay. Talking about the CBT, we were actually behind when we started. But as much as we were behind, we were not prepared. So we don't have enough sensors. That's why people have to travel. The candidates have to travel that far. We don't have enough sensors that are really ready for this CBT. And there's no way we can go back to pen and paper. We can't. We have to continue with this CBT and get ready each time. And I can see people saying they want to come together, they want to have a standard CBT center for the coming years, which will be good enough for candidates, so that we go round. People will have to travel as far as 1 hour, 2 hours to write an exam. You can imagine the state of mind of those candidates at the time they arrive at the center in which they're going to write the exams. So we can't rule out CBT. We just have to get ready. We have to. And
how do we get ready when you also consider that there is a disparity between students in rural communities and urban communities, and even in the urban communities, because of the wealth gap, and that wealth gap also creates some disparity in access to computer. I would say that some people would just be seeing computers for the first time, maybe writing this exam. And so how do you get ready when you put all of that factor, especially from the student angle, into consideration?
Okay, I guess a lot of private centers we have to arise. People who have the resources should put their resources together. Let's come together and let's make this happen, because there's no way we can do away with CBT. That's come to stay. We are behind already, and a lot of private centers have to come up. There are private centers already, but we need more of them, because many schools cannot afford this. But let's have some private people that are ready to pull the resources together so that they can have a befitting and a functioning CBT center.
I wasn't even talking about, the CBT center. I was talking about carrying the students along, especially for those who are eligible to write exams. I mean, shouldn't JAMB, for example, INEC would, I know JAMB does the mock exam, but INEC would do, for example, mock accreditation. There are a lot of things happening between one election cycle and the other. Isn't that what JAMB should be doing to ensure that every child understands what it takes to write that exam, and it's not strange to them, for the first time while they're writing it?
Okay, I don't believe it's strange to even the children in the rural areas, because a lot of them are exposed to Android phones, and the moment you can operate an Android phone well, I can tell you, like, that candidate is about 80% ready to operate a PC, a computer, for the exams, and that's why they have the mock exams. I believe it's not about the children or the candidates not seeing computer before now. No, we have gone past that. A lot of them are exposed already. Many of them are exposed. It doesn't matter if they're in the rural area or not. The moment they know they have registered for UTME, they know they can't do pen and paper. They have to go on computer. They are prepared already. They are prepared. But the challenge we have is enough centers for them. That's why they have 6:30, 9:30, and that's why they have about 4 batches in a day. But I believe if we have enough centers, we may not even have to do 6:30. We may not have as many as four batches in a day like we do have.
So what would you then say to those who are saying that, look, perhaps this CBT test, this CBT exam, it is also contributing to the poor performance, especially because of what I said earlier, understanding of how it works. Some have, done some analysis between when it was, the pen and paper, that's the performance, when it was pen and paper, and now when it is CBT test. And they have said the performance has, drastically reduced. And perhaps this is why it has reduced.
Okay, the decline in the performance had nothing to do with CBT. I think it has to do with the environment itself. Okay, let's consider WAEC exams. They have not started CBT, yet there is a decline. Should we still blame it on CBT? No. I think it has to do with distractions there and there for candidates. And a lot of things that are actually contending for their attention. And it has to do with us working with these candidates themselves, letting them know, oh, there's time for everything. A lot of things that are distracting you can wait till you get to the time, the appropriate time. And then a lot of things contend for their attention, not CBT. We shouldn't blame it on CBT. CBT is actually a way of moving forward. We are moving forward. We are behind already. This shouldn't be a subject of discussion.
So my point is not to go back to paper, pen and paper, or pencil. But my point is getting ready and getting the process right. Because again, I have done a lot of CBT tests that is not even, I do them at home. I don't have to necessarily go to a center.
Yeah.
And so I am wondering why, all of that has not been incorporated into the process where, students can basically just do it at home. If you're worried about cheating, why don't put the stopgap measures where students cannot cheat even whilst they are doing it at home?
Exactly. Okay, you saying you have done some CBT tests. Is it actually difficult? Should you say it's difficult? Should you say it's because it's CBT that some people are not performing well? No. The issue is not the CBT. The issue is what are the things that are contending with the attention of the candidates. There's a decline in the performance everywhere. Even undergraduates, we have decline in the performance or in their performance all across the universities in everywhere. It's like that everywhere. So CBT has nothing to do with the decline. To me, CBT should even make it easier. They are exposed to these gadgets already. They're exposed. If they can do some other things well on the internet, why not their exams? Why not doing well? And I think it has to do with their preparation. Like I said, preparation. That is what is causing this.
And it will seem like the performance level seems to be dropping every year. WAEC is still better, at least, than JAMB in terms of performance. People have also talked about how the exams, all of the exams, whether it's WAEC, NECO, JAMB, UTME, they seem to be too close. And perhaps it's time for all of this organized. Maybe JAMB should move theirs towards June, July, so that, when students are done writing their WAEC, they have a break, a time to study before, they write their UTME.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but look at the syllabus for WAEC. Look at the one for UTME. There's no difference, actually. So if they are ready for WAEC, they should be ready for UTME at the same time, because it's the same syllabus, the same set of topics. So they don't have an excuse. It's not all about them not having enough time to prepare. It's the same thing. If they are ready for one, they should be ready for the other one, because they don't have to do the reading is not different. The studying is not different. The topics are not different. They are all the same. So if someone should say she doesn't have enough time to prepare, I think it's just a way of making excuses for a non-performance.
I want to pick out the point where you said they are all the same, because I was speaking to someone yesterday who said it's a bit different. There's a difference between JAMB and UTME and WAEC. The WAEC seems to be more O-level questions, while JAMB seems to be more of A-level questions.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying, but they are the same topics. Maybe a little bit of additional cost as additional topics. But once you are ready I'll say it again, once you are ready for SSE, either WAEC or NECO, you are ready for UTME. Allowing them to rest before they write UTME, it will make them too relaxed, and they may not cope with reading all over again. So this has been happening for a long time. I can remember when I was in secondary school, we wrote WAEC, I think it was May, June. JAMB was written in March or so, February or March. So you can imagine. So we were ready for UTME at that time, and still we were going to write WAEC, and we actually did quite well. So if a child is ready for one, should be ready for the other one.
All right, so what sort of people have been calling for? I mean, some have even gone as far as suing JAMB. People have been calling for some sort of holistic reforms, at the board. If you were to sort of advise JAMB, what would be the advice if you say, look, let's have some holistic reforms in how we write these exams? What would be your advice?
It's all right. My advice to JAMB is, let's have some more centers. Find a way of encouraging organizations, private individuals, schools, to have more centers. With that, we will have less number of batches for each day, so that the children can be settled. You don't have a child traveling for a 6 a.m. examination, leaving a house by 5 a.m. So she has taken a lot of time she should have a last-minute reading. She has spent it traveling. So let's have more centers so that we can be more prepared. That's what we need for now. More CBT centers, so that these candidates can be settled to have a favorable condition, a favorable environment for this examination.
And if we were to improve performance, what should we also be looking at? Because I can imagine that for those who did not make it this year, they're going to join the pool of those who are writing next year, and then you have more candidates, few CBT centers also contributing to the challenge that JAMB already has. And so if we were to improve performance, so we have more students who are doing well in this exam, what should be done?
That's my concern already. If less than 24% actually pass this year, that means we are having over 70% joining the next batch. The whole 100% plus 78. or over 70. That means we have 170 something joining next year. I think it has to be, we have to go on an individual basis. Let's each parent see to this. We can't keep blaming JAMB. JAMB has its own faults. Fine, thank God they have come out to admit those faults. But what about the faults that come from those candidates themselves? Let parents see the possibility, the probability of them doing well, despite WAEC and JAMB being so close. Let parents see, let teachers, let the candidates themselves see the probability of them doing well. And let them work at it. That's all we can. We start from the grassroots. Let's work on them. And I believe with time, little by little, we'll get there.
Let's also just mention that, in all of this, there are students who did exceptionally well, who scored above 300.
Yeah.
And so, when you have, that disparity is also there. Some did well, some scored above 300, some scored way, above 200. And so some students did well. And it also means that others can do better. But if JAMB were to restore confidence, right now, it doesn't look like anything is happening in that direction. Those who wrote yesterday are still complaining. So if they were to restore confidence, what should they do?
For this year?
Yes, for this year. For this year.
For this year. Let there be a greater publicity. Let there be publicity for the children that should rewrite. Let them send text messages to them again, because some are claiming they have not seen messages. So they were not aware they were supposed to write yesterday. Some should write today. Maybe some of them are not even aware. And I think JAMB has to go on air again to let them know it has started. If you are supposed to write again, get it done. Find out when you are supposed to write. And those, I don't know if they can write the third time. If some were scheduled for yesterday and they did not write yesterday, they were not able to write yesterday, should they write again? I don't know. If that can be done, fine. If not, I don't know what they can do about that. But for this year, I don't see things going so well, except for subsequent years. Let's see what happens next year and the next.
And just before we let you go, I also wanted to just add this, because some people never go back to write. Some people have the tenacity and then, they keep pushing because they want to get into school, but some people never go back to write. Isn't that also contributing to the level of illiteracy or low level of literacy that we have in the country?
Yes, it does. It contributes to the low level of literacy. Some have given up. They don't want to write again. And some have said, okay, this year is gone. Let me prepare for next year. So they will join the band for next year again, and to make us have more of them for next year. And I want to say, not just literacy. What about confidence, self-confidence in the children?
Absolutely.
Self-confidence in the children. Yeah. Some have lost their confidence. And some parents are not helping. They just heap the blame on JAMB, on WAEC, and they sort of exonerate their children. What about us building the confidence in these children, these candidates, and allow them to face it? It's sort of a huge task. It's a major fear in the life of children, in our lives generally. We all started like that, but if you have people encouraging you, people building your confidence and letting you know you can still make it, even if people are not making, I believe things will be done.
And I hear you on the distractions, for students, especially in this age where students are always on social media. But we've also seen some of these
Exactly.
students who don't do well here leave the country and become exceptional students. It also means that there is a challenge with the process that we'll also need to begin to look at. Thank you so much for your time and for your analysis. Educationist Taiwo Ali.
You're welcome.